A white college professor admits she lied for years about being black as a college in Pennsylvania bans pro-police masks. In this video, we're going to finish out our week by looking at the latest insanity on our college campuses, and we're going to find out together what's really behind this insanity and why we can also be sure its days are indeed numbered. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone, patrons all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If this is your first time here with us, a very warm welcome to you. We post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so we can all live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate the inevitable, yes, the inexorable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Before we dive in here, have you seen gold and silver lately? Gold recently made history. It hit a record high of around $2,000 an ounce. And the billionaire Thomas Kaplan predicts we're not far away from gold getting to $5,000 an ounce. If you're sick of low returns and volatility from the market, then it's time to look at gold and silver. And that is where our good friends over at Noble Gold come in. Gang, there's simply never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio. And the amazing staff over at Noble Gold are ready to help you in any way that they can. And if that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold is giving away this U.S. Mint's own solid silver 5-ounce $1 Apollo 11 moon landing coin for any qualified gold or silver IRA. So don't wait. Click on that link below or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. Make sure to mention my name, Dr. Steve Turley, and let's ride that gold wave together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Perhaps we should reserve Fridays from now on for stories of political correctness run amok. What do you think? Maybe we could start calling them PC Fail Fridays or something. I don't know, but we have 2 stories in the news today. Both were on the homepage of Fox News, and both involve political correctness gone haywire. So let's start with the latest controversy coming out of George Washington University. An associate professor of Black history at GWU, she has confessed that over the last several years she's been falsely claiming to be black, when in point of fact she's white. And no, I'm not talking about Elizabeth Warren before she tried to pass her off as a Native American on the faculty of Harvard Law School. No. This is someone else. A woman by the name of Jessica A. Krug, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her name, but she is indeed a Black history professor. And she took to her blog the other day and made a stunning confession. She has for the last several years been impersonating being black. She's not black, she's white, she's in fact Jewish. And she confessed this charade, this sham, this masquerade on her blog site. A confession that has shocked her students and faculty colleagues alike. And I'll just give you a taste of what she wrote here. Here's what she says. For the better part of my adult life, every move I've made, every relationship I've formed has been rooted in the napalm toxic soil of lies. Not just any lies. To an escalating degree over my adult life, I've eschewed my lived experience as a white Jewish child in suburban Kansas City under various assumed identities within a blackness that I had no right to claim. First, North African blackness, then U.S.-rooted blackness, then Caribbean-rooted Bronx blackness. I've not only claimed these identities of my own when I had absolutely no right to do so, when doing so is the very epitome of violence, of thievery, and appropriation, of the myriad ways in which non-black people continue to use and abuse black identities and cultures, but I've formed intimate relationships with loving, compassionate people who have trusted and cared for me when I deserved neither their trust nor care. People have fought together with me and fought for me, and my continued appropriation of a black Caribbean identity is not only in the starkest terms wrong, unethical, immoral, anti-black, colonial, but it means that every step I've taken has gaslighted those whom I love. Now, she's blaming this on mental illness, okay? She said that she's been dealing with mental health issues since childhood, when she first started assuming false identities, which is interesting because it's a bit of a modern practice. I see it in education a lot, which is, in a sense, to exonerate oneself from full responsibility by appealing to medical or psychological diagnosis, okay? And of course, the problem here is that even if we were to grant her the validity of her diagnostic explanation, how do we know this isn't just another false identity, right? How do we know this isn't a false contrite identity that's just as manipulative as her false racial identity? But, I'm not going to quibble on that. There's far too many interesting aspects to this story. The first and foremost, of course, is that this isn't the first time this has happened. And no, I'm not talking about Elizabeth Warren. Again, that's bad enough. I'm sure you all remember Rachel Dolezal. She used to run the Spokane, Washington chapter of the NAACP. It's a black advocacy group, if you're not familiar with it, if you're in Europe or something. But she was the spokesperson for this Washington state chapter, this black organization. Now, she looked black. She wore her hair in styles reminiscent of African-American fashion. She had darkened skin and the like. But then some research ended up finding old pictures of her with her family, and they found out she was actually white. She was actually confronted by a reporter who asked her point blank if she was really African American, and she claimed not to understand the question, and she just walked away. And she eventually had to admit that she wasn't black, but that she self-identified as black. Now, needless to say, she lost her job and became more or less a national laughingstock. But it did raise the question, did it not? Why can't someone self-identify as black? I mean, that seems to be a legitimate question. We can self-identify in all kinds of ways. What's the problem with self-identifying with a particular race? Why can't race be every bit as fluid, for example, as gender is today? Again, where are the boundaries on this one, and who draws those boundaries? Who defines them? And to this day, I believe Rachel Dolezal still claims she is not fully white, that she self-identifies as black. Now, I think a legitimate concern, of course, is whether one is self-identifying for the convenience of career advancement, right? In other words, did Elizabeth Warren and this George Washington professor deliberately lie about their race and ethnicity in order to fraudulently benefit from university policies that were not intended for them, right? Obviously, that's a legitimate issue. And I'm presuming that even the most staunch champion of political correctness and self-identity and fluidity would certainly draw a line there. But I don't know how you do that when you enthrone victimization and celebrate the virtues and ideals surrounding what we might call the cult of the aggrieved, as the university has done. I don't know how you avoid more and more people reinterpreting their lives and their own identity in accordance with these new politically correct standards. But first, I invite you to sign up for our free Turley Talks email newsletter. As unfortunately big tech continues to censor conservative content creators, this is the foolproof way that we can always make sure we stay in touch with each other. With the Turley Talks newsletter, you get tons of free content from me. You get informed on all the latest happenings. You'll be the first to know of any special deals or events that we're running, and you'll never be left in the dark. So right now, just click on that link below in the pinned comments section and sign up for our free newsletter today. And let's share even more exciting things together in the rise of a new conservative age. So here's the problem as I see it. Here's the tension within the university that the self-identifying professor is bringing to the forefront. The modern university, of which I was a part of for 20 years, right, at least in a part-time capacity, is absolutely and unequivocally dedicated to the promotion of what scholars call emancipatory politics. Now, emancipatory politics, simply put, is the notion that it is incumbent upon social institutions like the government and corporations and education and media and the arts and the like to seek to actively rectify the power discrepancies in society that discriminate against and marginalize ethnic and racial and sexual minorities, okay? But the problem with emancipatory politics is that it has two dynamics that can often clash with each other. So on the one hand, emancipatory politics seeks to overcome the discriminations of the past by now, in effect, discriminating against the majority, the more dominant ethnicity, right? Otherwise generally known as white males, in order to make room for what they consider to be oppressed and disenfranchised ethnicities and genders and cultures. So this is basically what the cultural Marxist Herbert Marcuse called the coalition of the oppressed. And he thought that could effectively overthrow the dominant ethnic majority in any Western nation. So you've got that dynamic, this group dynamic. But then what's so interesting is that emancipatory politics also, on the other hand, redefines the human person as a sovereign individual who now has the freedom to self-identify in any way he or she wants. Emancipatory politics gives individuals the freedom to self-identify anything and everything in terms of their religion, their gender, their sexuality. And now, yes, we're beginning to see self-identity stretching into race. So it shouldn't surprise us that the cultural Marxism, or as it's more technically known as emancipatory politics, that's currently dominating our college campuses, it shouldn't surprise us that it's not only attempting to destroy the dominant culture and identity of a nation so as to replace it with the revolution of the minority cultures and identities, but its champions, we're finding, are also more and more actually reinventing themselves individually so as to be able to identify as a member of one of these oppressed groups who are now emerging into positions of power. And hence they can reap its rewards and its advantages. So when identity is so fluid as it is that in emancipatory politics, I don't know how you could turn around and say, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. I really think this is the Achilles heel, or one of them at least, of secular leftist liberalism and the reigning paradigm of political correctness on college campuses today. What we're seeing here with this latest, shall we call it a race hoax, what we're seeing is rather predictable given the conflicting dynamics inherent in emancipatory politics. The conflicting dynamics, the clash is between group identity, where one is promoted on the basis of one's membership in a collective, and individual identity, where one has the right to choose what collective identities one wants to belong to. So I don't know how there's really any way around this. You're going to have these clashes. Now, not to be outdone, we have another development at a Pennsylvania college. So Muhlenberg College's Office of Multicultural Life, if you can believe this, they were notified by multiple students that the college bookstore was selling American flag masks with black, white, and blue colors. Now, if you don't know what that means, well, the students certainly knew what it means. That's what's known as the thin blue line symbol. It's a term for the police and law enforcement, blue representing the police. It depicts the notion that police are the line between a fruitful and flourishing society and violent chaos, right? So it's the police, it's law enforcement that keeps society from collapsing into chaos. Well, given the chaos on our college campuses, Muhlenberg College's Office of Multicultural Life said that they were, quote, outraged and deeply offended that the bookstore was selling thin blue line masks and immediately called for the removal of this offensive display. Gosh, I mean, it's so odious. It's so cringeworthy. Whoever thought virtue signaling was attractive? I have no idea. And just to show what wonderful and inspirational leadership this college has, their president and dean removed the masks from the store within 30 minutes of being notified. That according to Fox News. I wonder, do they have campus police? I'm just asking. The school's chief business officer and treasurer, a fellow by the name of Kent Dyer, apparently claimed that the police flag was a symbol that seeks to discount and erase concerns related to police brutality and other aspects of the Black Lives Matter movement. So BLM has been anointed. It has been christened as beyond reproach on our liberal college campuses. So now do you understand what emancipatory politics is, right? You replace the dominant culture with an oppressed one, right? It has nothing to do with equality. It has everything to do with kicking out one culture, in this case, the dominant culture that's now guilty of every sin under the sun, police culture, law enforcement, and replacing it with a minority culture that's beyond reproach. You can't touch it. But don't worry, given that left-wing colleges are closing up all over the place, I doubt the doors of this college will be open much longer. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the confessed killer of a Patriot Prayer supporter in Portland getting shot and killed by police, all as Antifa thugs are being arrested across the nation like never before. You're not going to want to miss that one. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.